we please be on our feet? Thank you so much. Please let's be upstanding. Thank you.
Day was draining. Everything was just off. The broad expanse of Nigeria's sky stands a school with a vision bright, ever holding the banner of knowledge high. We'll go forward by wisdom's might. All hail to thee, our master. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar.
This is University of Calabar anthem, sung by Glorio San, Ashiwe Joseph, Ruth Ejiro Tega, Brownson Aniebiet Inyang Ntui. This is courtesy of Egu.
That I welcome us to the 152nd inaugural lecture. Which has as its topic, to the making of books, there is no end. Guardians navigating the floor. As we all know, inaugural lecture is a forum where professors pay their debts by sharing their scholarly research and knowledge gathered in the course of being a professor. And so without going further, may I recognize distinguished personalities here present. First to be recognized is the Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar here present, Professor Florence Obi, who is the Chairman and Chief Host. Can we put our hands together for her? And also to be recognized is the Vice Chancellor Designate here present, Professor Fion Ifanga Ofiong. You're welcome, sir. Seated close to him is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Professor Tony Inyang. Please put your hands together for him. And next to him, you have the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Linkages and Collaboration, Professor Peter Chukwuemeka Okafor. Please put your hands together for him. May I also recognize here present the Registrar of this great institution, Dr. Mrs. Chukwuka Icha. Please put your hands together. And may I humbly recognize the Chairman, Committee of Deans, Professor Ina Uda. Please put your hands together. Also here present, you have former Vice Chancellors. I can cite just a few of them from here. Provost School of Postgraduate Studies, here present Professor Iyo Banayo. Provost College of Medical Sciences, Professor Ndongdom. Please put your hands together for him. Provost College of Education, Professor Gemma Ipa Anagobi. Please put your hands together. Am I recognize here present the person to unravel the shadow behind the inaugural lecturer to take up the citation of 157th inaugural lecturer is no other person than Dr. Ofonbo Ibama. Please put your hands together. It is my joy to introduce to you the Professor of Library and Information Science, who is the 152nd inaugural lecturer, Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui. Please put your hands together for her. She will be properly introduced in the course of the lecture. And may I recognize deans of other faculties here present, directors of institutes, heads of departments and units here present, erudite professors here present, past inaugural lecturers, Chairman Ceremonial Committee, Emeritus Professor Chris Wamo, Emeritus Professor Emil Skim, invited guests, members of the university community, Malabite and Malabreses. Thank you so much. It's now time to introduce the immediate family of the inaugural lecturer. First to be introduced is our dear husband here present. Can we put our hands together for him? You're welcome, sir. The immediate family, the children are here. Please put your hands together. I can cite a number of groups some on t-shirts, some colored beautifully here present. Please can we put our hands together for them? Without wasting much time, may I invite the registrar to please take over and continue the proceedings of this inaugural lecture as we put our hands together for her.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to call on the Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, Professor Florence Bankobi, to give our opening remark.
The principal officers of the university, the vice chancellor designate, provosts, deans, directors, family members of our inaugural lecturer itself, and a friend of the inaugural lecturer. Good afternoon. All my years, I hear that there is war without end. Have people heard that before? War without end. Today, we are gathered here again to hear that, to the picking of books, there is no end, meaning that there is book without end. So we don't know what picking of books without end means. Like no war without end. Now there is books without end. They are our inaugural lecturer, the university librarian, is one lady who knows her job, and she is a very competent and dedicated university librarian, that the university is indeed blessed to have. We are blessed, we are lucky. I am particularly blessed to have her as the university librarian at a time when the university had no library. No other person would have made the magic Aniebiet Ntui has made in Unica. Without a physical library, we have had accreditations without end. No wonder we are going to listen to there are no books, to the making of books, there is no end. We have already taken plenty of our time, 30 minutes gone. The inaugural lecturer friend might maybe know that you should take less than 30 minutes to present her so that she can have 45 minutes for her lecture, because we have already lost almost 30 minutes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please, let's sit back at the end. When we would have been enriched, would have been educated, would have been enlightened to why there are books without end. We'll come back and talk again. Thank you very much and welcome.
The chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite Dr. Ofonbu Ibanga, the citation reader for the 152nd inaugural lecturer, Professor Aniebiet Ntui, to read the citation.
The Vice Chancellor and Chairperson of this inaugural lecture, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Research, Linkages and Collaborations, the Registrar, the University Bossa, the University Librarian, who doubles as the inaugural lecturer, former Vice Chancellors here present, the Chairman, Committee of Deans, the Provost, College of Medical Sciences, the Provost, College of Postgraduate Studies, the Provost, College of Education and Entrepreneurship, Deans of Faculties here present, Dean of Student Affairs, Directors of Institutes, Directorates and Centers, very distinguished professors and members of Senate, heads of departments here present, past inaugural lecturers, distinguished traditional rulers and title holders, distinguished guests, great Malabites and Malabresses. Ladies and gentlemen, with a deep sense of pride, I stand before you today to present the 152nd inaugural lecturer of the University of Calabar Inaugural Lecture Series, Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui. Please step forward. Today's inaugural lecturer is an accomplished academic, a globally recognized scholar, and a giant in the academic business of library and information sciences. My initial contact with her was in the late 1990s. Her father was a lecturer like my own father. I got influenced because I knew she was a library scientist. So at a very early age, I started using the library. From my bachelor's, master's, PhD, I was an avid library user. This is down to the influence I received from today's inaugural lecturer. Let me start with a quote from renowned theoretical physicist Albert Einstein. He said, "The only thing that you absolutely have to know is the location of the library." This may have influenced the career path of Aniebiet Inyang Ntui. Young and brilliant, she transitioned seamlessly from primary school to secondary. She excelled at the secondary school level, which led to her obtaining the requisite credits to gain admission into the University of Cross River State, now University of Uyo, in 1987. And there she earned her bachelor's in science education, majoring in botany. This was shortly followed with the master's degree in guidance and counseling from the University of Calabar in 1992, and another master's degree in library, archival, and information sciences from the University of Ibadan. Aniebiet enrolled for and bagged a PhD in library and information sciences from the University of Uyo in 2007. Besides those conventional degrees, she has acquired relevant certifications which have adequately equipped her for her profession. She has a certification in COVID-19 contact tracing in 2020 from the prestigious Johns Hopkins University, and also a certification in Android development courtesy of Google. Google is big, isn't it? So a round of applause for her there. The most striking and inspirational thing about today's inaugural lecturer is her ability to evolve, ability to innovate, and move with the tide expediently. This is evident in her ability to navigate and fuse analog library and digital library systems, which you can testify that she has done. In a career spanning more than 3 decades, today's inaugural lecturer started out as a graduate assistant at the University of Calabar. She rose from the ranks, and from that time, she was promoted to the rank of a senior lecturer in 2008. As a senior lecturer, she was head of the Africana and Government Publication Division, University of Calabar, instrumental to the establishment of a community library in Bakassi area for internally displaced persons. With competence and experience comes more responsibility. Isn't that so? Rightly so, Aniebiet Inyang Ntui was promoted to the rank of an associate professor in 2011. Then she headed the Department of Library and Information Science and was chairperson modularization and design of the PhD program in library sciences. In 2015, the Governing Council of the University of Calabar appointed Aniebiet Inyang Ntui as a full professor. This is our 10th year serving as a full professor. I think you can do better than that with your applause. As usual, this came with more responsibility because she was chairperson library project on digitalization and e-library operations committee, University of Calabar, and she's a member of the National University Commission accreditation exercises team for the library science program. At this point, if you throw up a Google or Wikipedia search with keywords like library and Nigeria, you can be sure that Aniebiet Inyang Ntui will pop up almost instantly. That's just how accomplished today's inaugural lecturer is. In February 2022, the Governing Council of the University of Calabar appointed Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui as the substantive university librarian, a position she has performed exceedingly well in the last 3 years. She is a seasoned scholar, an accomplished academic. She has a prolific record of publications. To her credit, over 60 articles published in both local and international journals. In addition to that, she has over 20 books to her credit and has contributed to book chapters and in different areas in Nigeria by the Web of Science in August 2022. Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui is a well-traveled academic whose expertise is sought at major international forums. She has consistently presented papers at specialized conferences across Nigeria, within the African continent, and she has also done so globally. This includes her active participation in the annual conferences of the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, the Librarians Registration Council of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Library Association. Her commitment to advancing knowledge is also evident in her regular contribution to the annual Conference on Enterprise and Economic Development in Africa, which is being hosted by the Center for African Research on Enterprise Economic Development at the University of West Scotland. Furthermore, she demonstrates a commitment to technological information science advancements by participating in events like the Library 2.0, Worldwide Virtual Conference, and the annual Google Input-Output Developer Conference. Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui is a member of numerous learned societies. Some of them are Overseas Associate Member, Center for African Research on Enterprise Economic Development, University of the West Scotland. She's also a member, and for such a long time, of the Nigerian Library Association. She's a member, Africa Information Association. This is just to name a few. Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui has been the recipient of numerous awards throughout her career. Time and space may limit us, but her commitment to library science has been honored by the Cross River State Chapter of the Nigerian, which presented her with an Award of Excellence in 2020 and an Award of Honor in 2021. She has also earned significant international recognition, receiving the prestigious Leaders in Laws 2022 UK Global Prize as the Education Services Expert of the Year in Nigeria. The most important accolade came in 2022 when Professor Ntui received the monumental award of the most read researcher in Nigeria. This distinction was conferred on her by the Web of Sciences. She is also known internationally. On the international stage, Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui brings over 2 decades of experience in program management, financial management, fundraising, international relations, and development. Her research contributions have earned her widespread recognition, including being named the most read researcher in Nigeria by the prestigious Web of Sciences in August 2022. And that article had over 500,000, that's 500,000 reads on the ResearchGate platform. Still on the global front, Professor Ntui is actively involved in major global activities, including the G7 Global Health and Climate and Environmental Justice Working Group, and the G20 P20's Climate and Environmental Policy Working Group. Her expertise has been critical in various efforts. She has contributed to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, and she has also been on the policy advocate front as a member of G7's Civil Engagement Group. She is international. A round of applause for her. Besides the classroom and the library, and besides also traveling, she has extensively been involved in community service programs. In 2021, she was involved in the contact tracing program during the COVID-19 pandemic, which was organized by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. She was also a facilitator at the Ibano Beach Cleanup Initiative, which was sponsored by the government of Akpabio State. And she also was a participant at the reading promotion campaign in secondary schools in Calabar municipality, which was sponsored by the National Library of Nigeria in 2018. Aniebiet is married to Chief Inyang Ntui, Chief Ntui Inyang, and their marriage is blessed with children. She is an exceptionally devoted wife, managing her role skillfully in the midst of all the professional responsibilities that we have reeled out, that you have heard her handle. Is Chief Ntui Inyang here? Please stand up for recognition. You can see how proud a man he is. And you can also see that she just doesn't have high standards when it comes to academics and library matters, but in choosing a spouse, she has high standards as well. Like they say, she carried her go market. She is not just a good biological mother, she's a professional and academic one. She has supervised over 10 PhD candidates, more than 10 master's candidates, and scores of undergraduate candidates. In attendance today, I am sure that we have some of those whom she has mentioned. If you're here, please kindly rise so that we can also recognize you for having such an excellent mother. I can also step up as well because she has mentored and influenced me. You can see that she is indeed accomplished. The Vice Chancellor, distinguished professors, ladies and gentlemen, the 152nd inaugural lecturer for the University of Calabar inaugural lecture series is an intellectual powerhouse. She is a globally recognized scholar. She is a quintessential teacher. She is the worthy ambassador of the University of Calabar. Please rise, do have the honors and welcome Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor and the Chairman of the occasion, my dear Vice Chancellor, Professor Akpabio, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research Linkages and Collaboration, and the VC Designate. The Provost College of the Postgraduate Studies, the Provost College of Medical Sciences, the Provost College of Education, the Chairman Committee of Deans, and my personal Dean, the Dean of Faculties, the Dean of Student Affairs, Directors of Institute and Directorates of the University Senate, my HOD, Head of Department of Library and Information Science, other academics within and from other institutions, gentlemen of the press, distinguished invited guests, Malabites and Malabresses. The topic for today's inaugural lecture is "To the Making of Books, There is No Aim. Guardians Navigating the Flood." But before I start, I want to dedicate my book to my father, who died in 2020. He had been very instrumental to me becoming what I am. And to my mother, who made sure that girl education was the most important thing. Since most of us, we only have a brother, since most of us were girls, she made sure we went to school. I'm so happy she has lived, and she has earned so much from sending us to school. Now let's go to the main talk. What is a book? Normally, what we should know that a book is a collection of pages. Pages are collected, you count the book. You collect pages, bind them together. That's why we have an exercise book. There's nothing inside there, no information. But because pages have been bound together, that's what makes it a book. But in real life, you see that when you buy that book, you now go to use it to store information. So actually, books are just more than pages bound together. They are vessels of knowledge, imagination, and emotion that conveys information, stories, ideas of knowledge that bridges between the society. And we really know that books have power, plenty power. Why do we say so? You realize that somebody may have been bad, may be having habits. After reading a book, the person will change. So books give people power. Books hold transformative power, shaping minds, inspiring creativity, and preserving human knowledge across generations. So the power of a book lies in its ability to educate, to inspire, to transform individuals by expanding their knowledge, fostering critical thinking, and provide perspective. So books are actually powerful tools for education. Books help us to acquire knowledge. They also ignite imagination. At times you see that after reading, it's like your imaginative power has been renewed. You'll be able to think clearly. So books have so much power. And it also influences our personal development. Imagine if all of us did not read, we wouldn't have had the degrees we had. So personally, we've benefited from the powers of books. You look at your behavior, and you see there's something that you don't like about it. After you have read, you will change. And they also give insights to human behavior. It helps readers to navigate challenges and make thoughtful decisions. So throughout history, books have played a pivotal role. That is why some books are banned, some books are censored, because everybody knows the power of books. So they don't allow people to read books they feel can lead to a revolution. Those books will be banned. So the spread of memory and contribute to the social and the political change. So book has made movements for civilizations. So there is power in book. What of the lifelong influence? It extends beyond you. It's the catalyst for progress. It helps us communicate. Maybe you didn't know something, what happened years ago, but once we read the books of history, we will be able to share that wisdom that they had preserved and shared for us. So in summary, what can we say? That the power of a book lies in its ability to educate, to inspire, to transform, whether cultivating knowledge, nurturing imagination, or guiding personal growth. Books remain timeless. The older the book, the better. Because at times you look for an old book, and then you see what happened in the past. That will make you know what to do in the future. And that's why they say that books remain one of humanity's most profound inventions. So let's look at the evolution of books. What were the early forms of books? How did books start? Let's look at the early form. The first one were the clay tablets. That's the one that the Mesopotamia, around 3,500 BC. When the clay is wet, they write on it. And they were durable when fired. But the only thing is that they were so heavy. Clay is something like we used to make pots, the olden day clay pots. Can you imagine carrying that as a book? It was actually heavy. So that was a problem. And then it evolves to the ancient Egyptians. They had the papyrus tape. If you look at the Nile, River Nile was the main source of civilization for Egypt. So that now they had the papyrus tape. So they will flatten the stem, press it, and dry it. But can you imagine you writing on the dry leaves? It was so difficult. And it was fragile, difficult to navigate, because you have to hold it with 2 hands. So you can find it difficult to write. Then from there, it evolves to codex. Codex came in the 2nd and the 4th century. And that was when they write on animal parchment. Mainly the Romans, they're writing on animal skin. But still, it wasn't that easy for them. So, and then from there, the only advantages of that codex was that it was more portable, easier to store, and it will allow you to, you know, an animal skin is hard, so it will not easily tear. So it will leave your hand free, and you can take notes when you are writing on it. Then from there, we go to the monks. They saw it as a form of punishment in the monasteries. If you do something, they will punish you slowly, and in a very difficult way. They will lock you up in the scriptorium, and then you have to sit down and recopy the books. Books were very expensive. Imagine if you had to recopy a book that is about 100 pages, how many days it will take you. And not that you are writing on paper, you are writing on animal skin. So we realized that it was a very difficult thing. But in 1440, something happened. Jonas Gutenberg now came up with the printing. So that printing is the turning point of what we have today. It allowed for mass evolution of books. They're more accurate, more accessible, more affordable. Remember before Jonas Gutenberg came, that books were only for daylight, and they will lock them up. They will put gold in them, and nobody could move them about. But that printing revolution made books to be much, much cheaper. And then to add to that, we now had the paperback. Paperbacks are books that are very flexible, bound together, very easy to produce, like what we do with our inaugural lecture. Most of them are paperback. They are less expensive. So with paperback, it's easy to produce. Then from there, we had the digital books. The digital books were the e-books. That one, you have the digital format. You need e-readers and devices. And I'm here to tell you that apart from the copy I gave Vice Chancellor, there's a link I'm going to provide at the end. That's why you are not seeing the 152 inaugural lecture here. It is an ebook. So I decided to make it an ebook. Then after that, we had interactive and the virtual formats. Those are the ones that help readers. You participate. There are puzzles, there are pop-ups, there are games you must do before you get to the next chapter. If you don't do that, you cannot get to there. So they want to see how you understand the other chapters before you can get to that chapter. And then, but what have you observed? From the clay to the digital books, that books have shifted. They are more portable, more durable, more affordable, and more accessible. And that's why we are all here. Without books, we wouldn't be here. Without books, we wouldn't have known. So there is a lot of diversity of books. Books come in different forms and styles. But you have to understand that it depends on what the reader loves. That is where you go to. But take note that most people use books and forms interchangeably. They are quite different. When we talk about types, if you look at that table I have put there on the screen, you see that when you talk about types of book, you are referring to the content of the book. But when you talk about the forms of the book, we are looking at the physical or digital format. And then there are also categories of book, fiction and non-fiction. So in fiction, it tells you imaginary stories, while non-fiction is the real thing. The textbooks are non-fiction. There are many types of fiction that we have the comedy and the humor, we have the fantasy, we have the horror, and many more that are there. The mystery, the magic, all that is fiction, the romance. But for the non-fictions, they are based on true facts. They educate, they inform. I'm not saying fictions don't inform. I'm not saying they don't educate. But what you are reading is just an imagination of somebody. It's not a real life. It could be taken from a true life story, but names are not given. So in non-fiction, we have the biographies, the autobiographies, the true crime, the travel, the science, those are all types of books. So now we've seen that there's a lot in the making of books. Plenty. But how do you make a book? Let's take an example of this inaugural lecture. How do we go about it? We divide it into 2 stages: the content development and design, and the physical production. So in content development, what happens? An idea comes into your mind, and you think. And I'm here to tell everybody that this topic of the making of books, there is no end. So I've started graduate assistant when I was employed, because I realized that when I came in, they said you must publish. Then I said, and luckily for me, the first topic I did with the late Associate Professor Odo, may his soul rest in peace, we realized that there he was writing about books. I can remember me and Professor Odo, we were so excited that we have published the first article in the journal. We were so happy. So in the making of books, it goes through a lot of detailed processes. There's editing, there's printing, there's binding. But then you have to make sure that you give it to a good publishing house. That's why we recommend the University of Calabar Press and the other presses like the Academic Publishing Press, that you go there, because they don't just use your manuscript. They edit the manuscript and make sure that it is okay. So it begins with the author crafting the manuscript. Remember that each book begins with a spark. There's an idea, there's a question, there's a moment, there's an inspiration, a spark that makes you want to write it. Then what do? You have to give voice to your characters. You have to see, how will I weave these narratives? Most cases are made in silence. At times, though, they are made in chaos, but you need a quiet space, a clean mind to be able to make books. Then we talk about the design. What design am I using? And then how am I formatting it? How do I want the interior? How do I want the exterior? And then after that, we now have the ISBN. Remember, if you have a book without an ISBN, it's like what NAFDAC says, fake. So it's the same thing with books. In the library, any book without an ISBN, we call it Onitsha market literature, because that's where you find those books, small pamphlets with no ISBN. So those books are not recognized, and nobody talks about them, even though you read them. Then we have the physical production, the prepress. You finish, put it now to the printing house. So they now have to do the pre-printing, they have to do the offset printing. But take note that at this stage you can change little or nothing. So that's why when they finish the pre-printing, they must give it back to you to look. Do you like the color? Do you like the way the things are written? Before you can now move on. So at that stage, make sure that you look at the book and make sure you like what you are seeing. Then after that, there's the folding and the cutting. The large printed sheets are folded and cut into sections called signatures. And after that, they are bound. It could be case binding on, and then you give the final touches. Maybe you want the book to glow, you laminate it. Then once bound, they undergo the final finishing and the durability. Book printing and publishing is one of the oldest books we've seen. We see that the industry brings in like 25 billion every year, and over 800 million books are bound in the United States. So you see that it's so much books that are made, and it brings in a lot of profit. Any country that likes publishing books will bring in a lot of profit. But then we observe that the newer technologies like the e-library, the audio books, make it a little bit difficult for somebody to really know how many books are published in a year. It's difficult to know how many books are published in a year. So that's why they said that you must get the international standard book number. Because now the gatekeepers are gone. The gatekeepers were the publishing houses. But now I can sit down and do self-publishing. So since the gatekeepers are no more there, get an ISBN. That is what will make you know what. But in 2010, the Google project counted about 129,864,880 unique titles. That was in 2010. Since then, it has been difficult to get the exact number of books. Because from 2010, the world has really gone haywire with the internet and self-publishing. So it's a little bit difficult to know the exact number of books that is on earth. It is even said that if you want to know the exact number, go and count the sand on the river shore. So that's what they compare it to. That is where you can now know the exact number of books that are being published every year. Next. So, next. So in 2004, we observed that they said 2.2 million titles were added. So if we look at what was given, the 129,000 we had earlier, and you observe that every year you had 2.2 million or 2.6 million, that the titles as of 2022 must have risen to 156 million. Those are all estimates. Remember I said that estimates, they're not real because nobody really knows the exact number of books. So why are there so many books in the world? We may wonder, why is it so difficult for anybody to pinpoint? If you observe that picture, hold on. If you observe that picture, you observe that it's like a flood. There's a flood of books, just like water. But this time it's not water, it is flood. So you see that at times it is even difficult for you to know what to read. You don't know what to read. So there are so many books in the world. It has caused chaos. Everywhere there's uncontrolled. You don't know what to read. You get information from the social media. Remember, when we talk about books here, it's not the physical book that we see alone. That there are other books, the e-books, the social media platform, the online channels. So you see that there's so much that look at that little house. That's how we are submerging books. Almost all of us are submerging books. So the causes is that there are low barriers to entry, like we already said. Before you need to go to a publisher, now you don't need to. Then there's online marketplaces. Platforms like Amazon, you can just go there and publish. Google Books, you can go there and publish. Apple's Books, you can go there and publish. So there are no more barriers to entry. You can entry. And there's the rise of e-books. Because books are now cheaper. Like if I want to do my inaugural lecture, you realize that it would have taken me, but this one now, after this, everybody can read it free. You don't need to buy. So the rise of the e-books has transformed the way books come. People prefer reading their books on their tablets, on their smartphone, because you can travel with the book wherever you want to go to. And then the global access, that also attracts people to the e-publishing. And then you observe that most of the e-books, the stores, you don't need to rush to the stores to get the books. Like, let me rush, bookshop will close before 6 o'clock. No, you don't need to do that. Anytime you are ready, on your device, within seconds, you download the books. So that instant access has helped accessibility. And it has even helped even the physically challenged, the blind, the deaf. It interprets for them. There are text-to-speech programs, there are real-time translation. Let's assume whatever you get in. We've already talked about affordability, that they are very affordable. So, and then you compromise reading experience. Remember before, if you want, you have to sit up or you lie down. But now, anywhere, let's assume I'm coming to work and I have an audio book. I can decide to play that book from now until I reach my office, and I would have finished listening to it. And then there's global reach for authors. Like now that I have made this my inaugural lecture and ebook and open access, within the next few days, I'll have many readers, unlike others, that did not make their books ebooks. And then the emerging technologies, especially our younger people, and then the artificial intelligence. You know, at times you just put down a topic, and before you know, the book comes out from that topic. Just a line you put on any chat or any AI, you observe that it will produce a full book for you. So you observe that that is the problem. So reading has really evolved. There's this book talk trend that is all over the world for the young people. If you have a book, put it on the book talk, and before you know it, all the young people will want to read your book. Because the book talk really promotes book. You don't need somebody to go and advertise your book. All those things make people prefer the e-books because you can easily do that. Next. Then the digital publishing. You spend less money. So that's why people do self-publishing. The next one. And then there's orphan books. What do we call orphan books? Books without parents. That means there is no person that has claimed the book. But copyright protects the book because they are orphans. Some people write under synonyms. Some write anonymously. So those books are called orphans. So that's why there are so many books, and there are variation and repetition. For example, let's look at Julius Caesar. It is one book, but they'll get an ISBN and translate it in French, translate it in Germany, translate it in English, in many other languages. So those variations and repetitions make it a little bit difficult for somebody to know. So when we talk about to the making of books, there is no end, we are not quarreling, we are happy because it shows that something good is happening in the world. So we are celebrating endless books. Books will keep on coming. We are not complaining, we are rejoicing. We are acknowledging that the world will never run out of ideas. There are stories to tell, lessons to learn, and there are truths to uncover. So in the face of this endless writing, there's endless reading and there's endless learning. Because what does it really mean that books never end? Means that human curiosity is alive. The imagination refuses to be silenced. And every generation, every culture, every voice has something new to say and the courage to say it. So when you see a book, it's not just paper on ink, there is more to it. Next. Because there are so many books. Next. So in this light of endless making of books, is not a burden, it's a beacon. It means that each of us can write. So we stand here to celebrate the unending creation of books. Let us honor the writers, the readers, the librarians, and the publishers who keep this flame alive. Because in every book, the human spirit speaks, and it will never run dry. So when we say there's no, so what we are saying is amazing, that we have much more to discover. You have many things to discover. And remember, each time we read a book, we grow smarter. We grow kinder and more curious. So let us thank the authors and everybody, because books are treasures. And the more we read, the more we understand. Next. But let's look at the challenges of this book flood. This challenge, the major challenge is the information overload. What is information overload? Too much information. You are exposed to too much information that you cannot even manage it or use it. This phenomenon occurs when the sheer volume of information exceeds one's cognitive abilities to absorb, evaluate, and apply. There's constant influx that can impair ability to focus, make information decisions, and retain information. So information overload happens everywhere. Don't think you're exempted. In the workplace, so many emails, so many things to do, so many memos. Our registrar can testify to that there's always an information overload with time. And then what of the students? Students are always researching a paper, they may find themselves, and you observe that when you click a topic, from the search engines, what do you see? At times 11,000, 12,000, and you begin to wonder, which one am I taking? So that's why you observe. Then the organizations too are affected. Business may experience inefficiencies in decision making when employees are bombarded with excessive data reports or market analysis, making it difficult for them to focus on critical information. And organizations too rely heavily on the data analytics they make. But take note, marketing team, you may collect so much information from a website, after some time you don't even know what to do with the information. So there's so much information, there's so much books. So let's now look, we've already talked about it, let's look at the causes of the information overload. We had said digital saturation, Do you observe that once your phone does click alert, you must open to see who did it? So there's always constant notification, emails and updates from multiple platforms. And at times you want to multitask. You are working and you now want to do something else. So to juggle multiple tasks and sources of information simultaneously, and there's lack of filtering tools. If you don't filter what comes into your phone, you observe that in the university at times, people that want to add you to your platform are so many. So if you don't control the people that add you to platforms, you realize that you have excessive and unclear information everywhere. Then there's poor collaboration of communication. People believe that memos must always be sent out. There are other ways we can give out information without necessarily sending out memos. So, and then there's proliferation of digital content. There's blog. That blog will say so many things. One information, almost 1 million blogs will carry. And then there are some people that their data never goes off. There's always constant connectivity. So that makes them, and there's social media. We know here, almost everybody here belongs to Instagram. They belong to all the platforms, all the social media, the WhatsApp. So those search engines are overloaded. There are times. And then there's lack of information organization. Nobody organizes it. So that is where the major problem lies. So there's a lot of negative effects of information overload. So it lowers the quality of work and increases error. Maybe I'm doing something and I get a lot on my phone. I'm forced to look at it. By the time I go back, you realize that there'll be errors and depleted time and energy. It can even affect decision making. You'll be biased. Maybe you read something about Aniebiet Inyang Ntui on social media. Before you know, you'll be biased even before you see me. So it affects. There's also difficulty in prioritizing your task. What is it I want to do? And then there's increased load and mental fatigue. Most people are tired because they're always with their phone. So those are the negative effects of information overload. Next. Then there's impact on sleep. That's why most people encourage that when you want to go to sleep, put off your phone. Don't keep it on. Because immediately an alert comes, you are forced to wake up and you get up to see what is there. So what is the solution? That is when guardians navigating the floods come in. That's where librarians come in. We have the solution to all those problems I'm talking about. And so we have one information tree. If you want to register in library like University of Calabar, and we know your area, once new materials are acquired, we do what we call selective dissemination of information. We send it to you. Are you interested in this topic? Do you like this? So we do information filtering for people. What of personalized news feeds? After looking through, what is your area of interest? So we know what to give you. And we help you prioritize and set clear goals. You must make your goals clear and your priorities. And you must also limit digital distraction. Don't be too fast. So when we go back, so when we limit digital distractions, we realize that will help us. You must decide that there are some apps. It's not all the apps that are there that must be on your phone. You must designate times for checking emails, so time for social media. Then take regular information detox. Just like once in a while, we detox the body. The same thing with information. Look through your phone. Are there things you should disconnect from? Are there people you should block? Some people are just nuisance. So you look through. And when you look through that, these are the people that are causing you nuisance. You block them. So this break from that information consumption will go a long way to clear your mental health, and it will help you to be well organized. Next. So you have to practice, you have to develop critical thinking and decision-making skills. We can help you with that. We have in the library there, we have where you can consult and we talk with you. What are the informations you need? You have a topic and you don't know which of the topics do I want to write on. We now can assist you. And for the managers, please always delegate tasks and collaborate. You must have a team that you work with, colleagues, family, so that they can reduce the burden of information overload. And limit the number of sources that you get on. And then you must also have digital hygiene. What do I mean by digital hygiene? Is turn off all non-essential notifications and then clean up your screen. Most of the screens carry a lot of infection. So make sure that once a week your screens are clean. So strategies, organization we can employ to help employers cope with information overload. One is that we should streamline communication channels. Don't allow a subordinate to leave the HOD and come to you directly. We should never allow that happen. When you streamline communication channels, people will know that if you don't pass through that channel, establish clear guidelines. As a librarian, if I know that you did not pass through your unit A, your unit head did not sign it, I'm not going to treat that matter. So when we streamline communication channels, you realize that you will not be overbooked with information. And then we must offer access to knowledge management systems. We must provide employees with access to the knowledge management systems. These systems serve as centralized databases where employers can easily store. For example, we know that in the university, they will always ask the librarian, how many people are working in the library? I don't have to wait until they ask. So what do? In our systems, we make sure that we know our staff. Anybody is being transferred, the name is chalked up. So that even if you wake us up in midnight, what is the number of your staff? We should be able to say it. We should also promote mindfulness and stress release practices to help employees cope with mental strain caused by information overload. Organizations should encourage mindful and stress-free practices. Research has shown that mindful techniques such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, even short walks can reduce stress and improve focus. That's why you observe that when we go for counsel, after some time, they say we stop and we take a rest. So those short walks help us. Then we reduce the frequency and the length of meetings. That is a major contributor to information overload. Excessive number of meetings with employees, and they are required to attend. We see what our Golden Vice Chancellor just did, that we know that every month, Senate is once. And she also encouraged departments, faculties, and directorates just meet once a week. There's no once a month. So there's no need meeting every week. Those meetings are unnecessary. And when the meetings are so many, those excessive meetings make employees tired and are overloaded with information. We must also establish clear information hierarchy to prevent employees from feeling overwhelmed by sheer volume of information. There's some information, take it to the person that needs information. There is no need giving information that I don't need to know. If you know the person does not need that information, why send it to the person? That way, you prevent employees from feeling overwhelmed and then promote a healthy work-life balance. There's a lot of burnout in our work. So how do books help? Encourage them reading. We observe that very few people read these days. They don't want information outside their job. But to be a true scholar, you must read beyond your own job schedule. You must stop to read anytime you have time. But you must create the time to read so that way you also have designated quiet hours where employees are free from meetings and non-essential communications. What of learning and academic performance? How does information overload influence them? There's cognitive overload. Before the CC mass came, we realized that our children will be BB mass. They were taking 24 credit hours, 30 credit hours, and you begin to wonder, how are they coping? How will they make it? So we see that there's improvement in the Nigerian curriculum. They get to the core basic. What do you really need? So that way, and then another one is inefficiency in study habits? What are your study habits? Malabite and Malabraces, are you there? So what are your study habits? You wait until it is exam. You have information overload. So you must make sure that you know what is truly important and make sure that you have good study habits. When students often feel overwhelmed by their constant need to stay updated because of assignments and exam, this leads to, and then avoid procrastination. Procrastination leads to a lot of problems. When assignments is given, do it, come to the library. Luckily, we are blessed that our library is now the campus is now a smart campus, and the library, the management has invested so much in the databases. At times, we don't come use them. So we encourage those staff and students, come and use those databases. They're so expensive. Whether you use it or not, at the end of 1 year, it will expire. So that will help you. Then avoid distractions. The constant streams of data as a student can affect your academic performance. When you stay up late in the night, looking at Instagram and all others, WhatsApp, you realize that that is distracting you. In our own time, it was better. So how have libraries and information professionals addressed these skills? We have helped, like I said, with information filtering. We've already talked about that. The next one, we offer information literacy and digital literacy training. If you come there, we help you on how to manage your information. So those digital literacy programs, I don't think there's anybody today that cannot use the computer, because if you do that, it means you cannot survive. Then we curate and organize resources. If you want us to work on it for you, you come to the consultancy group and we help you create your online guidelines, your reading lists, and your subject-specific collections that will focus on it. So libraries will also help you develop your resource collections. What are the major collections in each area? There's what we call the Bible for every profession. There are some certain textbooks you must read. That's why AUC, if you are not a lawyer, you cannot man the law library, because they believe that if you have read and used it, you're in the best position. So in the library, we develop resource collections that will be subject and that can help you. All you need is just to walk in there and you get the best. We also use technology to simplify access. Remember now, just come and register. And in the comfort of your home, you don't need to even come to school. Once you have internet access, you can use the library wherever you are. It's just to as word. And then we provide personalized plans and reference services. So we can get you what are the reference services that you need. That way, we are able to help you tailor support best. We are encouraging digital talks, we've already talked about that, and health information consumption. Collaborate. When you collaborate, you see that it will also help you. The next one, predatory journal. I think that's where most of us have suffered. You've written a very fine, you've done a very fine research, you've written it so perfectly, but because you didn't know that those journals are illegitimate, they are deceitful, they are returnable, you now go and dump your fine article inside it. They are sent it for payment. So those predatory journals is what has really caused our problems. That's why we are promoting institutionalized journals. Every department should have a journal. Every faculty should have a journal. And the university can decide to have one journal for the university. That way, whatever researches are being done could be placed there. So we don't need to look for journals, and that's where we should also come in. Recently, we look at scopus. They said you must publish in scopus. That's fine. But we realize that when we go to buy from Elsevier, they'll tell us 53 million. But when you look, you see Unical lecturers that have published there. The scholars have published there. They are not even paying the scholars. And then we are now going there, we are buying from them. But if the way institutional journals and departmental journals, those science would have published them, those scholars would have published them, and it would have been the best thing for all of us. And for promotion, we should also look at this scopus factor. Why do I say so? Even this predatory journal, it was a librarian that came up on his own and decided this is predatory. What gives him the power to say this is predatory and this is not? They want to tie us on the strings of the white wall. So that's what we should realize, that we should empower our departmental libraries. That way, the scholars will have where to publish. So now, how can you detect that a journal is predatory? There are many ways you can do it. You give them, within 5 days, they accept your work, or even less, and they are ready to publish the very next day. Once you see that, there's a question mark. Something may be wrong. Their own is self-interest. How much is getting into their pockets, not scholarship. So we have to be very careful that we don't fall prey to this misleading information. Every journal has to go through peer review. Any journal that doesn't have, even if they give you a journal to read as a professor, it will take you 1-2 weeks. So there's no way to come out so fast. And you realize that there's lack of transparency in what they're doing. Errors in information, there's spam, and even when you read through, you see that there are typos. And then they're accepting the journals without peer review. There's big volumes and high acceptance rate. That's when you see some of our younger colleagues will say, I'm paying 200,000 to publish that journal. Once it is that high, I believe it is predatory. If your article is good, you don't need to pay anything to publish it. So, and in most cases, you see them, they use bulk email. They don't send it only to you. Ask your friend that is in your field. They would have also sent to the person. And in most cases, they always want the article. No organization. If I'm in library science, somebody is in chemistry, you're in physics, they are ready to combine all our articles together, and they will give it one general name. Once you see that, there's a question mark. It may be predatory journal. So another one, we've talked about peer review. They notify the author only after the paper has been accepted. That's when they notify you. And in most cases, you observe that they send unsolicited or mass spam email requesting for involvement in an editorial board. If it was a good journal, they don't need to source for the editors, they'll get it. So scientists, without their consent, are even added to the editorial board. And when you write that their name should be removed, they will not even remove it. So international scientists on the editorial board who lack qualification or orchid ID are often used. They use a name or a website that is similar to the real journal, and then they provide fabricated metrics, databases, and impact factor when none exists. Next. So each article that is published will have a distinct digital object, DOI. However, it cannot be verified. They give you a DOI, key in, nothing comes out. So a journal title that integrates 2 or more distant areas I've already talked about, Journal of Library Science and Political Science, you observe that there's a problem. Next. Next. Conclusion. So we have seen that to the making of books, the journey will continue. What we are saying here was first said over 3,000 years ago in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 12. It says to the making of books, there is no end, and devotion to them is wearisome to the flesh. So as scholars, as professors, we should take note. We should not devote too much attention to the making of books. The Bible does not lie. It will weary your soul. Inasmuch that we are here, that if you don't publish, you will perish. You must still find time for your family. Because when you are old, that is where you go back to. And even when one book reaches a final stage, the process continues. It does not end there. One story is the beginning of another. The making of a book is not a task to be completed. It's not a rhythm, a pulse, a living traditions that evolves with generation. And in view of today's fast printing methods, definitely, to the making of many books, there will be no end. I want to find time to take this time out to acknowledge all the people that have helped me in my life. First and foremost, my thanks goes to Jehovah God for his love and mercy towards me. His love towards me has been profound. I also want to use this medium to thank members of my family. My late father, Barrister Michael Ekaideminya, who believed very much in girl education. He tried his best and saw all his daughters through university level. Thank you, Papa. My mother, a very strict disciplinarian to the core, she preached and practiced girl-child education. Her effort has yielded 100-fold fruit. I thank God you are still alive to witness this occasion. My appreciation goes to my elder sister, Dr. Itoro Ekobimoibia, with Itoro Lee, because when she had friends that were Evelyn, Rosemary, Caroline, she now said her name is no more Itoro, that her name is Itoro Lee. So she has always been a very big support for me. You've always been a big sister. Uforo, my younger sister, my barrister, my late 90s mate, it's all nice talking with you. And to our last born, Otobo, you have been a very good younger sister. And to my one and only brother, Dr. Inyang, you've been my stabilizer. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to my husband, my double chief. They don't ask chiefs to stand up, so I cannot ask my husband to stand up. I want to express my sincere gratitude to my husband, my double chief, my high chief, my auntie, Aniebiet Inyang Ntui, who has been a pillar, a support, and a shelter from strong wind. You have been a brother and a true friend. I also acknowledge my children, Ekemini and her spouse, Karina Jao, Ofwan, Mboteni and Sebode. You are all my pride. I will not fail to acknowledge my grandchildren, Medara and Dokutima. My special thanks go to Akpabio and Golden Vice Chancellor, Professor Florence Bankobi, who is a senior sister, a senior colleague and a boss, for always pushing me to be the best in my career. I would not have presented this inaugural lecture today, if not for the deadline she set for all our principal officers. Thank you, ma, for working. Thank you, ma. Working with you always kept me on my toes. She can call you anytime, day or night. She can call you. So that made me to always be on alert. I thank the incoming Vice Chancellor, Professor Fion, a fan of you. Thank you, sir. I'm ever grateful for finding time to attend my inaugural. I'm grateful, sir. I thank the 18th Governing Council under the leadership of General Martin Luther Agwai, retired, and all other members of that council for appointing me as a university librarian. I also owe a debt of gratitude to the 14th Governing Council of the University of Calabar under the distinguished leadership of DIG Ekpo Udom, retired, and all other council members, Chief Kayode Edebi, Alaji Bagiwa, Dr. Mary Ali, the capacity woman leader, the minister in council, Bemi, Professor Ansa, Professor Jake, Professor Igriokon, Professor Inaji, Dr. Maxwell, Dr. Edo, Dr. Owa. We've been a family. Thank you so much. And to my fellow principal officers, I will don't pass family. My DVC academic, Professor Angela Eyoita, DVC result. And then the DVC academic, Professor Tony Enyang, and then the DVC Research and Collaboration, Professor Kafo, and Professor Inonta. We've been wonderful working with you. It has been a pleasure. And to my second father, Mr. Marcos Ukande and his wife, I say thanks for your grooming. And to my in-laws, Awu, Sonny, Sally, Njo, Egura, and Bokan, you've been so wonderful. And to our family friends, Professor Akpabio and Dr. Balotu, you have helped all the daughters of the family at various times to keep standing. I'm ever grateful, ma'am. I'll also want this acknowledgement cannot be complete if I fail to mention people who have touched my life as sisters. They are special gift from God to me. They are my sisters, highly valued friends, Dr. Faith Orim and Mrs. Mary Cannon. Thank you so much for always being there whenever I call. And to my dean, Professor Inaugural, I think it's a pleasure that I'm presenting my inaugural when you are the chair of chairs. Thank you, sir. I'm grateful. And the entire members of the great Faculty of Social Science, I say thank you for your support. And to the Library and Information Science family here in University of Calabar, University of Cross River State, you've been a wonderful family. I also want to appreciate the Nigerian Library Association family, Cross River State, and all the staff of the University of Calabar Library for your support. Let me also use this opportunity to thank my mentor, Professor Felicia Ito. I remember as a young academic, I will write and I'll not go to conferences. I'll send somebody else to present. And then she'll keep asking, what do you do at home? I said, I'm nursing babies. She said, babies will always be there. Nurse yourself first. I thank her because she encouraged me to come out and start attending. Please, is Professor Felicia Ito here? Okay, the representative. Thank you for sending a representative. Let me also use this opportunity to appreciate all my former students. Interestingly, most of them are now my colleagues in the University of Calabar and other universities. The likes of Dr. Idamapo, Dr. Isu, Blessing Etudo, and Shegun, Amabasi, Cecilia, Alice. I'm ever grateful. Mary Aniebiet, I'm happy for you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. In a very special way, I want to acknowledge all my Christian brothers and sisters present here. Immediately, I went and told them that I'm going to have an inaugural, and their family members must attend. Immediately, they came out en masse. I'm grateful, my Christian brothers and sisters. I'm so happy. I thank you for your prayers on my behalf. And I think that has helped me to present this inaugural. So, back again to my Vice Chancellor, I want to use this opportunity to thank her. I remember when I wanted to attend the interview, but can you still remember? I went to her, and what she told me is, go and read your book. That is all she told me, go and read your book. And I went for the interview, and I did excellently well. Am I right? So I went back and read my books. I read my books. So I'm so grateful that she and the council, they gave me opportunity, and that I have not disappointed her. To my registrar, we've become sisters. Our own is special. Always day and night. You know, there are times I call her 1 a.m. and she'll wake up and say, librarian, what happened? And I'll tell her I can't sleep. She'll pray with me. So I'm so happy with you. I'm so happy for you. Thank you, ma'am.
Please let's give her another round of applause. A standing ovation. The inaugural lecturer that decided to keep to time. Congratulations for breaking the record again. May we be seated, please. Thank you, my sister, for not allowing us to give you paper and time up. The topic, to the making of books, there is no end. Guidance, navigating the flow. It was actually a topic that placed us all in suspense. Thank you for helping us to understand better what you meant by that topic and the importance of books. One of the things I remember is that everyone sitting here must have read one book or the other. If not, you wouldn't have got it to the level where you are today. I also heard that books are treasures, and there is always information to transmit. So we will not stop writing books, but librarians are there to guide us in the midst of the flood of books. They are there to guide us. Thank you, ma. God bless you. Maybe this will encourage most of our younger ones to go into library and information science. Please let's celebrate her one more time. Thank you, ma. God bless you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me one more time to invite the Vice Chancellor, the Golden Vice Chancellor, the 11th Vice Chancellor, and the Chairman of this occasion to step forward for presentation of lecture notes and appreciation of the lecturer by exchange of memento.
Vice Chancellor. Thank you. So today, being 25th November 2025, I present my inaugural lecture title, To the Making of Books There Is No End, Guardians Navigating the Flood, to my Vice Chancellor. Calabar Management and Senate, I want to present this to you as the 152nd inaugural lecturer of our great university. Congratulations. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Let me at this point invite the Chairman Committee of Deans, Professor Inyang Ntui, to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you. No problem.
You agree with me that this was another very seamless delivery, but extemporaneously delivered. Thank you, Professor Ntui, for adding the capital P to your professorship. To the making of books, there is no end. And to the reading of books, there shall be no end. We shall continue to read books. But according to your lecture, because there is flood in the bookshelves and information overload, then we have a choice. Either to pick the generic of everything or to be specific. To shape that choice, the library provides opportunity. And no wonder, when you go to the library, there are different sections of the library for different economics, chemistry, English, and that helps us to navigate the specific or generic content of the books so that we do not have information overload. And that is why you choose that specific aspect of the knowledge and qualify in the area of library and information science. Thank you very much for that fine and wonderful delivery. Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor, for providing the opportunity. The former Chairman Committee of Deans gave the statistics today that you have taken more than half in 5 years when we compare to the number of inaugural lectures that we have delivered. That is because you have been able to motivate a number of people to deliver their inaugural lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you, the registrar. I want to thank the Vice Chancellor designate for finding time to come here, Professor Offiong Efanga Offiong, and we do not expect anything less. It will be a continuation of the harvest of knowledge. I also want to thank the two Deputy Vice Chancellors who are present here, the Bossa. Let me recognize the Bossa, Charlie. so that he can do all the deep. I also want to thank the provosts who are here, the College of Postgraduate Studies, Provost of Medical College, the Provost of College of Education, and all the Vice Chancellor's friend who is here. Madam, I've seen you throughout 5 years. You're welcome. That is friendship, consistency. You're welcome. Please, can we clap her for her? Thank you very much for being there for her, for your friend. I want to thank all the Senate members and deans of faculties who are here, heads of department who are here, and the inaugural lecturer's dean is standing here before you. So I don't need to thank him again. I want to thank all of you, beautifully dressed with different uniforms. You are warmly welcome. We thank you for the patience. We also want to thank the development unit, the information unit, the protocol unit, the citation reader. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful work. And then Malabite and Melabresses. And then I want to come specially to the dear husband of the inaugural lecturer. You know, for the past series, we've been having husbands talking about their wives. Now it's time for the wife to talk about the husband. Ogadobu Chief, well done. And I'm sure that you have you've been providing the ambience for her, and you can see how she delivered the inaugural lecture, and I'm sure you'll be very happy. And when you go back home, you know what to do to him so that he can continue to be the chief. Yes, Professor Cabret, I almost miss you, ma. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and your friend who is seated with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You have always been very consistent in activities of the university. So I thank everybody for coming, and we hope to have another inaugural lecturer, probably not this year again, or maybe next year when the Vice Chancellor takes over. Next week, we have another one. Okay, so we hope the information unit will give us details of that, and we hope to welcome all of you to come. Thank you very much for your time and your patience. God bless you all.
As we come to the end of this exercise, permit me once again to call on the Vice Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, Professor Florence Bankmobi, to make her closing remark.
Thank you, Registrar. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the protocol has already been well established. Let me appreciate the 152nd inaugural lecturer, who is closing my administration with their own inaugural lecture. To the making of books, there is no end. I didn't know librarians are guardian, and now guardian Aniebiet Ntui has told us how she's navigating the float and guiding it. We have been educated, we have been schooled, we have learned. In fact, to me, I turned and looked at her when she said orphan books. I said books too are orphans. They lost their father and their mother. I looked at her. But actually, she has told us why they are orphan books. And what she has told us here is that books are powerful and that books make the society. Hence, you hear people censoring books. When they tell you don't read any book, go and read that book. There must be a reason why they are saying don't read the book. They want to hide information. And we have all learned today. I am very proud of you. Annie, you have proven again that you are indeed a very sound and seasoned professional in this field. For the first time, we have e-book. And I'm sure the e-book is available, accessible to you. Now we know the secret why she is the most read author in the country. Because whenever she writes, she makes it free access to readers. And it is there for everybody to read. Please, you teach me so that I too will try and make my books free access. But we appreciate you. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please, can we have some audience? Those who are distributing that, please don't make noise. Quietly distribute, please. We have come to the end of my administration today with this inaugural lecture. And like the former committee of deans said, it's there in my book that you see. I didn't want to say it, I wanted to say it here. I was the 92nd inaugural lecturer. Indeed, I was the last inaugural lecturer in the administration of Professor Zana Akpabio. After me, there was strike. After me, there was COVID. There was no other person until I became Vice Chancellor. Meaning that we started with the 93rd inaugural lecture, and we have run 60. In fact, percentage is 40% of the total of inaugural lectures that we have had in the University of Calabar. We would not have done this but for your willingness to toe the line with us, your willingness to support us, your willingness to see a reason for bringing certain policies and pushing you to do certain things. When I came on board, in fact, when I was preparing for my Vice Chancellorship, I called all the universities our age and to ask them, what is your number of inaugural lecture? And each of the university our age had had more inaugural lectures than University of Calabar. And I had it there that I was going to promote this project of inaugural lecture. As much as I thought well about it, definitely, there's just nothing I would have done if you were saying no to it. A time was, I keep saying it, that in the Senate of University of Calabar, when I was dean, even when I was head of department, VCs will always ask, please, who will present inaugural lecture? This one is the next. They said, no, not me. They said the most senior professor, he said, no, not me, I'm not ready. The next one, he said, no, not me, I'm not ready. I remember when Professor Olulawal accepted in Senate to be the next inaugural lecturer. After retirement, I think he had retired then, and he agreed to present it. We rose and gave him a standing ovation. Either he was almost retiring or he had retired, and still presented inaugural lecture. And because he made my faculty proud then, we supported him largely as a faculty to present that inaugural lecture, because he was a member of my faculty. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue. There will be another, in fact, almost all through till about, almost end of next year, we have no space. There are people who say they are retiring in March. They're actually writing and pleading that I should stop some other persons from giving their inaugural lecture just for them to have a place to give their own inaugural lecture before they retire. That is the interest that we have been able to bring in this system. I want to join the UL as I call her, Annie. I want to join her to appreciate Professor Akpabio and the sister. I have been told so much about these two women in the life of my friend Aniebiet. She keeps telling me about two of you, and that is a confirmation that your sister has to come to attend this inaugural lecture. For you, it's given that you will always be there, always be here, just like Professor James Epoke will always be here in every university ceremony. You always attend our ceremonies. except you are not in town. The same way Professor James Epoke has supported us as an administration, attending all our programs. We thank you very much. We thank your sister, Dr. Opal Otu, for coming out to honor this woman, sees you as a mentor, not just mentors, as a mothers, and those who have contributed to who she is today. I appreciate the VC designate for coming. Appreciate every one of you for coming. Even as we close the curtain, we draw the curtain and close it for my administration inaugural lecture. But please, it's a plea. University of Calabar is our project. University of Calabar is ours. We either make it or mar it. We should not say this man was pushing us for another lecture. We are not going to come again. Please, let's continue to come out, to interact, to brainstorm, even as we have the next inaugural lecture next week, and we continue having until we go on break. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all the inaugural lecturers. In fact, now that we have so many people presenting inaugural lecture, maybe the next VC will create this platform for only those who have presented inaugural lecture. The first seat. That was what I wanted to do. They begged me not to do it, that they will be presenting inaugural lectures. Now we have so many. If you are an old professor, especially you have 2 retirement, and you have not presented an inaugural lecture, ask yourself, am I really a professor? How did you become a professor? That you can't come and tell the world what made you a professor. Because inaugural lecture is an opportunity for you to showcase yourself by telling the world why you are a professor in your field. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, our dear students. Thank you for coming out to support your mother, our very special, unique librarian, a woman who is making us very proud. And I am particularly very, very proud of this woman because she is an asset to the University of Calabar. And I tell you one thing, many VCs have been coming to take her away. And when they come for accreditation, they see her, they can't believe. When they come for exhibit, they say, wow, you have one of the best. And I tell them, not one of the best librarians in the university system. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Can we put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor? Just like she said, we will be having the 153rd inaugural lecture on December 3rd. Same venue, same time. And our inaugural lecturer is from the Department of Surgery, Professor Aniebiet Inyang Ntui. Please put your hands together for his here. Is the one over there? Yes, we will be gathering like the same time, same venue on the 3rd of December. And his topic says, touching and healing the wounds of the heart. Do you have the heart? When you come, you answer that question that day. And we have gradually come to the end of the 152nd inaugural lecture. And that doesn't mean we should leave the hall, please. Members of the high table, please go down for a good photograph. The photograph will be in 2 segments first. Strictly members of the high table with our Vice Chancellor designate. Then the second segment will be with members of the immediate family of the inaugural lecture. Please do not leave the hall. Thank you so much for your love. Don't leave the hall. We will close formally at the end of the lecture. Please don't leave the hall. Thank you. where you are. Thank you.
Even broad expanse of Nigeria's sky sends us full with a vision rise. Ever holding the banner of knowledge high, we'll go forward by wisdom's might. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar. We are quest for knowledge in every field, having purpose to serve mankind. We will fervent hope that our efforts yield fruit for all who will come behind. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar. Mighty God, from whom all knowledge comes, let the wisdom in us overflow. May the knowledge gained in our campus here guide our steps as we onward go. All hail to the alma mater. We have come from near and far to unite in Calabar. We'll work to build our alma mater, University of Calabar.
This session commences immediately. Can we please clear the aisle? Thank you so much. Paparazzis, please clear the aisle. Thank you. And please, can we remain